The stone structure, devoured by overgrowth and time, is a welcome reprieve from the mid-morning thunderstorm. 3 figures carefully step over the fallen door, making way to the cold, unwelcoming interior. What splendor might have graced the inside has been lost to time, save the mostly intact statue on the far end. The figures spread out and begin a cursory search. A tall, brawny man grips the pommel of his sword, keeping it from clattering against the ground as he stoops down to inspect the rubble of a crushed podium. Heavy stones grind against the floor. Nothing. Standing, Aelric grunts in dissatisfaction, having found nothing and at a seemingly distracted companion. A female figure, meanwhile, spreading her arms out at waist level, finishes a prayer. She then clasps her hands over her chest in reverence. Aelric insists that if she is not going to help them search, then she at least enlighten him about who the statue is about. Here we roll an Oracle Dice to determine what she knows, and the simplified D6 table is shown. The Oracle Dice shows a 4. She knows, but either not much or at the moment cannot remember. The statue of an imposing figure belongs to Sir Renauld, a popular strong hero in children's stories. She pulls the hood off of her head and apologizes sheepishly. Aelric continues, shattered stained glass crunching underfoot. Behind the statue in the room, a small figure reveals herself, with only a whisper. Gripping a lever, she pulls down, which fills the room with grinding as the statue moves forward, revealing a staircase that descends into the darkness. All 3 gather at the precipice of uncertainty, and Aelric strikes a torch and hesitates before taking the first steps down, followed by his 2 companions. The stone steps descend deeper into the underbelly, the torch only illuminating the next few steps. The encroaching silence turns the thunderstorm above into a pleasant afterthought. Arriving in a musty room, the stale air is heavy and unpleasant. 2 dry fountains on either side, now entirely devoid of purpose, flank a door. Everyone waits, hoping someone else will be the first to move. Aelric speaks up, false bravado put on to encourage the others, and most importantly, himself. He is the first to move towards the door. He sets his hand on the iron latch and begins to pull. Instinct flares in the thief, Ren, and she shouts to Aelric, warning him of the danger, but it's too late. She covers her ears, but the fighter and the cleric are not so lucky. The wailing of the undead howl in Aelric and Dorothea's ears. Terror darkens their already diminished spirits. Failing their wisdom saves, Aelric and Dorothea will suffer disadvantage on wisdom saves for the next 10 minutes. With trembling hands, Aelric throws the door open and waves the torch out in front. The small burial chamber contains several stands for receiving offerings at one point, but now lie completely dormant. These would have been for the 3 ornate sarcophagi in the room with lids that slowly begin to slide open and crash to the floor with a loud bang. Readying their weapons, the party enters, ready to defend themselves from the undead climbing out of their coffins. For initiative, the party rolls an 18 and the skeletons a 3. For this fight, the skeletons are using the goblin stat block. The fighter and cleric charge forth, the thief taking up a position with her bow. Aelric, first in the room, makes a wide slash with his sword, but it's blocked by the skeleton's rusted shield. Even with his +5, the roll of a 4 will fail against AC 11. Dorothea's attack is equally ineffective, as her mace misses the skeleton entirely, crashing into the stone sarcophagus. Taking the opening for her own, Ren lets loose an arrow that strikes the skeleton in the head, sending it rolling to the side, and the rest of the body collapses to the ground. The undead are not deterred by their fallen companion. The one nearest to Dorothea strikes true, its blade cutting deep into her arm for 3 damage, while Aelric is fortunate enough to deflect the strike coming at him. With a proper counterattack, Aelric finishes the fight, and he moves to help Dorothea as she too puts the undead to its final rest. The groaning of the undead fade, and the room grows quiet. Pardon my interjection. Due to this being one of the first few games of Shadowdark, some rules were not done correctly. Most notably, as you will see, is damage calculation. I accidentally added a character's strength or dexterity bonus to their weapon damage, as is in certain other RPGs. As this was discovered far into editing, I elected to keep my mistakes and improve upon later. As for the characters, consider it beginner's luck. Ren and Aelric search the room for treasure, but with a 34, there is nothing to be found. Stepping over the fallen bones, Ren moves for the door, and Aelric brings over the torch, and the former pulls out a set of lockpicks, starting at the door. The Oracle Dice shows a 5. The door is trapped. With a 16 on the die and her dexterity bonus of 3, she handles the lock quickly. Dorothea, unsure of the circumstances, asks Ren about the nature of the lock. Ren doesn't reply verbally, but instead points up. The door was not locked, but sharp, steel arrows gleam into the torchlight, causing Dorothea to stumble backwards. Ren's handiwork ensures they are no longer a threat, and the door is slowly pushed open. An altar having long since had its last ceremony stands in the center of the room, flanked by skeletal remains on shelves along the wall. The group searches quietly, and Ren finds a chest tucked away in an alcove. The Oracle die of a 2 shows that it is not trapped, and Ren opens the chest. An 81 tells her there is something valuable within. Inside is a gold statue with ruby eyes. She passes it to Aelric, who stuffs it into his bag without much care. The following door is trapped on a 5, and with her dexterity of a 17 plus 3, the trap is also dealt with. The low creaking of rusted hinges is entirely drowned out by a terrifying bellow ripping through the silence. In the dim torchlight, a massive, skeletal creature resembling both man and monster stamps its hooves. It lowers its stance and brings large, curled horns to bear, but the party is first to act, rolling a 17 against the monster's 3. Ren knocks an arrow, and in the blink of an eye, it soars forward over the shoulders of the others running to close the gap. While the arrow strikes, a 1 causes it to bounce harmlessly off the behemoth's skull, unable to beat the monster's AC of 13. Dorothea prays to turn undead, but the gods above do not hear her on a 2, failing to meet her DC of 11. Trusting steel over anything, Aelric charges forth, swinging for the monster and landing a critical strike for 5 damage. The monster retaliates by drawing a large hammer overhead and swinging it down on the fighter. A 9 plus 1 will not beat Aelric's AC of 12. Aelric leaps to the side. The spot he was just standing on is crushed to dust. Ren looses one more arrow, which strikes true on a 16 for 6 damage. The beast howls and crashes to the floor, its red eyes flickering for the last time. When the dust settles, Dorothea mutters a short prayer to herself as Aelric declares the room clear. Ren then searches the room for anything of value. In the meantime, Aelric asks Dorothea if she knows anything about the monster. Considering the size of the beast and the opulent, albeit decrepit room, she suggests it might have been Sir Renauld the Bull, or at least an unholy bastardization of him. Dorothea ponders silently and watches Ren frown into a cracked mirror before putting it away in her pack and seeing to the next door's lock. Dorothea mutters something before Ren's ears perk up. Silencing the group, she makes way to the previous door. Something is moving outside. A gelatinous cube slithers forth, picking up pieces of their most recent combat. Rolling the Oracle dice for the 2, neither Rin nor Dorothea have seen such a thing before. The semi-transparent mass seemingly cleans the floor in its path, and the group decides to quietly close the door before moving on. Aelric strikes a new torch, and Ren opens the door. The sight on the other side makes Aelric's eyes grow wide. Humans. Consulting the Oracle dice on their intentions, they are not good. The 3 grave robbers occupied with their gains are caught on the back foot with an initiative of 3 versus the party's 7. Aelric rushes forth, striking 1 down on a 19. The 5 damage reduces the bandits' 4 HP to 0 in no time. Dorothea's zeal is also unmatched with 4 damage. 2 go down, cursing the 2 in bloody gurgles. The final bandit, lurking in the shadows, considers her odds. Watching her partners go down fills her with rage, and she succeeds on a DC 15 morale check and lunges for Dorothea. With a well-placed critical strike, the dagger slots itself between Dorothea's shoulder blades, inflicting 8 damage. The cleric opens her mouth to scream, but her voice comes out as a pitiful groan and she drops to the floor. Dorothea has 4 turns before she succumbs to her wounds. The survivors know time is short, and Aelric throws himself at the grave robber, swinging wildly. The sly bandit sidesteps both sword and arrow and swings at Aelric, also missing her mark. 3 turns remain. Aelric's sword finds purchase along her gut, as too does an arrow. The grave robber stumbles backwards and joins her companions in death. The former man-at-arms is only basically trained and relies on his luck alone, expending a luck token to help resuscitate his companion. Taking the higher of the 2 rolls, an 18-1 will just clear the DC 15 check to stabilize his companion. The flow of blood is stemmed, and Dorothea gains consciousness shortly after. Aelric places a hand on her shoulder affirmingly and feels a warmth surge through her. Rolling a 10 plus 3, she just manages to cast Cure Wounds and recovers a modest amount of hit points. For their troubles, only a heavy shield is found. After the ordeal, the group hesitates, everyone silently wondering, do we have to? The following door is not locked, and proceeding onwards, their footsteps in these old catacombs are their only companion. Aelric stops the group and looks around. A shadow moved, or was it a spark of the torch? With the creature's 19, it is completely hidden. He waits for a moment, and then continues slowly. Chittering fills the air, and a dark shape descends from the ceiling. Suddenly, darkness falls. The torch is extinguished by this unseen creature. Panic strikes, hands tremble, knees shake in the pitch-black void this monster has created. Each action will be taken at disadvantage. With an initiative of 3, Aelric commands Dorothea to start a new torch, and he and Ren fight in total darkness. In the pitch black, the 2 fighting are helpless, and Dorothea is unable to strike a new torch. The Dark Mantle latches onto Aelric again, this time catching his gauntlets. Aelric and Ren strike once more, but both only stumble around in the darkness, unable to catch their monster. Dorothea finally strikes a torch, revealing the octopus-like creature and its many eyes. Rolling a 12, the Dark Mantle just beats Aelric's AC and draws blood for 1 damage. Enraged by the light, the creature begins to move, but the others intercept. Aelric finally rips off the creature and it is struck by Ren's arrow. Aelric kicks the dead creature on the floor. This door is neither locked nor trapped, and the group proceeds cautiously. Unlike the other rooms, the floor is not cracked stone, but an ornate marble, dusty with age, but reflects the torch along inlaid gemstones. The mesmerizing pattern leads up to a single sarcophagus at the end of the room. No further doors, and Aelric breathes a sigh of relief. No signs of monsters either. A moment of reprieve, and most importantly, what they were sent here to collect from within the sarcophagus, a sacred rosary. Dorothea prays before the sarcophagus, and Ren gets up next to it, running her fingers along the sarcophagus, checking for traps. There is one. Her heart leaps into her throat, and she mutters something in a foreign tongue. It is too late. Such a pitifully low check cannot detect the trap in time. Silent retribution cuts through the air, and Ren howls in agony. Thank you very much for joining me on this delve into the Tomb of Sir Renauld. I hope you enjoyed watching this production as much as I enjoyed making it. As one of my first games with Shadowdark and playing a solo RPG, I'm certain there are a few mistakes, some of which I pointed out in the episode, and I hope to rectify these in future episodes. All sound effects and music are royalty-free, and there is no AI-generated content in my videos. Let me know down in the comments if you think this group has a chance of surviving the next full raid to the depths, or are they bound to become the next victims. If you have any questions or would like to know more behind-the-scenes information, I will do my best to respond. Until next time.